Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Okay, so Jim Jordan failed again. This is the second ballot for Speaker of the House, and it's getting worse for him. I mean, the longer this goes, the less likely he is to be Speaker. Who knows? And what's going on here is we have these petty rhinos, and I'm watching some of these commentators, and they're like, oh, they just want business as usual and these petty things. See, this is what people don't want to accept about Congress. Very few people are in Congress for any good reason, okay? You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's good. You know, Matt Gaetz, he's good. There's a handful of other people. But most people that are in Congress, they're like Joe Biden. They're all crooks. They're all on the take. Joe Biden is taking it to a higher level than most of them. But they're all there to enrich themselves and their families through secret deals with donors and insider trading, and they don't care about MAGA. They don't care about the country. This is a business to them, and they're in the business of selling the seat that they hold. And the reason that there's conflict between the rhino establishment and the MAGA Republicans is because if the MAGA Republicans take over everything, they're not going to get their earmarks and be able to pay back their donors. The wars are going to end. You know, these guys are – the reason that they're so freaked out right now is they can't pass massive spending bills to get more money from Ukraine and now a bunch of money from Israel. Biden wants to put this big spending package together, combining Ukraine and Israel military funding together. Yeah. And
wait till China goes after Taiwan. That'll be a third war going on.
Listen,
I mean, I don't understand how Democrats can blame Trump for this. That's total mental illness and praise Biden. I've seen people on Twitter praise Biden for his leadership when these are a direct result of his lack of leadership.
He can't even walk up the stairs of Air Force One. And the problem is not really the Democrats right now. It's the Republicans that want the status quo to continue with all their stealing from the government.
From the Uniparty.
Yeah, the Uniparty. And when this incident happened in Israel, I know this will sound harsh, okay? Most of the people in Congress started high-fiving each other because they got another war front that they can make money for the military-industrial complex. You know, that farewell address by President Eisenhower when he talked about beware the military-industrial complex. You know, I've watched that speech so many times. It's a short one. I might show it on a YouTube video one weekend when I do my weekend YouTube live streams so people can see it. And what Eisenhower talked about, he said, you know, remember he was president right before Kennedy, so he was president in the 50s up to 60. And he said, never before in American history have we had a permanent armaments business. He said it used to be when a war came along, companies, corporations, factories would revamp what they were doing to make swords or guns and things like this. And now we have a permanent industry. Now, he was not against having a permanent military industry. His fear was that they would have too much influence over the government because it's so much money, so powerful with the donors. And that's where we are right now. And Biden, believe me, he's very excited. They got a two-front war. You know, it's just like in Afghanistan. Biden, I really don't think screwed up in Afghanistan from his viewpoint. I think he on purpose left everything behind because all that new equipment we left behind, the billions of dollars in equipment we left behind in Afghanistan for the military had to be bought again from the military-industrial complex donors.
Well, my one issue with Trump is he keeps saying Biden's incompetent. I'm not going to argue that, but this is more about corruption. And when he says he's incompetent, that's kind of an excuse. And I think he really needs to drive home more that he is corrupt.
Yeah.
And that he is doing things to enrich himself at the detriment of our country. When you say he's just incompetent, you're excusing the corruption that's going on.
Yeah, there's a story today
I mean, there's a lot going on that I think Trump knows that I think he needs to expose.
There was a story today that came out. I talked about it in detail on the morning stream, so I won't get in detail about it now. But Comer's committee just released a document from one of those IRS whistleblowers Joe Biden received a $3 million thank you gift from China, from the CCP. For what? What were they thanking him for? What favor did he give them for $3 million? That's just one transaction. He is just a corrupt person. So the speaker's fight, there's an article here in Mediaite, and Mediaite's pretty left-wing. They don't get it. But they write, what's currently unfolding with House Republicans can be fairly labeled as a carnival of idiots. It's an even bigger story when you look at who endorsed and supported Jordan to become speaker and how that reflects on the current state of the Republican Party and conservative media. The most significant endorsement for Jordan came from Trump, okay? And then also Hannity, over the weekend, Hannity was doing something that shows you how self-important that guy is. Hannity was calling up members of the House of Representatives, lobbying them to vote for Jordan, and he had his producer contact. Very bizarre. I've never heard of a talk show host.
Well, Jordan lost two more votes today. He lost. Now there's 22 Republicans.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So the pendulum is swinging in the wrong direction. So, but how does it work? How come Hakeem Jeffries is not the speaker? He's clearly got more votes.
They got to have the majority of the entire House, and they don't have that.
What?
Well, it depends on how many people show up. It changes every day because there's 435 seats, but not everybody's there every day.
So how much of a majority, though? Do you know?
It's just the majority of all the House. But since they spread the votes around 3 or 4 people, it doesn't happen, and we have a small majority. So if every Republican voted for one person,
I think Hakeem's going to get it because
he might.
The more I'm serious, the more people that leave Jordan and vote for these other people and spread out their votes. Then all the Democrats are voting for Hakeem, so he gets all those votes. So here's the question. If Hakeem wins, do you blame Matt Gaetz for this mess up, or is he no different than McCarthy and you just say, well, he's just no different?
I think it'd be great. I am very happy that they have not picked a speaker, and I know I'm the only one saying this. The reason I'm the only one saying this is because all these other big people that you know of that are like famous and do shows like this or on TV and stuff, they're all in bed with all these rhinos. They're all in bed with these people, okay? So they're their friends. I'm not friends with any of them, and they're all their friends, so they have conflicts of interest. People like Mark Levin and Hannity and such. I think this is great. We've had 2 weeks now without a Speaker of the House. They've got this fill-in guy. We've had 2 weeks. And what's happened? Nothing. It hasn't changed any of our lives.
I think it's great because it's stopping the spending.
Yep.
That's going to happen. But the problem is, like I said, I don't know how much of a majority that's needed to win. So if you know, let me know. But if Hakeem wins,
for Hakeem Jeffries to win, some Republicans would have to vote for him, which I doubt.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I doubt that's going to happen.
So this is going to be endless because more voting against Jordan than for. He's not getting. So they're going to have to put up somebody. Why did Scalise drop out? Is because of his illness?
It's hopeless for him, and they're trying to work out this sleazy deal right now, where this fill-in pro tem speaker becomes the temporary speaker, so they can get to see. This is what's going on. They didn't pass a budget, and they passed it for just like a short period of time. They're in a panic because without a speaker, they can't pass that next budget, and all that is the money that they steal from and money laundered to their donors.
Our party's just a joke, and Trump's right. The Democrats stick together no matter what.
Mostly.
Even if they have differences, they are, when it comes to things that really matter, they're on the same page most of the time. Our party is a joke because they can't get together. They have rhinos. They have and half of them hate Trump. They don't want to do anything to help him. We're not united. And that's a problem. I think McCarthy's going to end up back in.
He could.
I think that's why he caved so quickly because he knew
he could.
Yeah, and Matt Gaetz will look like an idiot.
Here's the thing: the Congress does nothing but steal from the Treasury with our tax dollars. Okay, from our tax dollars that we pay in, and the longer that we don't have a speaker, the more panic they're going to get because these donors donate however much money they're allowed to by the law. And they expect that money back 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times over from government expenditures. And these guys aren't delivering. And believe me, their phones are ringing from these donors that say, hey, my paint factory is waiting for all that money. I donated all that money. Where's my money from my paint factory that you promised me in that government contract? You know what I mean? And so that just as an example. But this is what's happening to these Congress people. It's just like no one can convince me that John Kerry does not get a finder's fee commission off of the Iran deal. Every time when the Iran deal talks are always happening, John Kerry's in a meltdown mode because he gets a commission. And if he doesn't deliver, you don't want to piss off the Iranians, right? So
what other, these people, all politicians, most of them anyway, are so corrupt. They create these social justice issues to hide their corruption.
Yeah.
They really don't give a damn about the climate change baloney. They don't give a damn about peace in the Middle East or anything like this. But they use these as excuses to move money around. That's basically all it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, we got this crisis over here, so we got to give $6 billion. You don't know what that they get their cut, and that's why they need the crisis. They can't just move the money without a reason. They can't tell you the truth.
So what's going on in the House is great. I hope they don't get a speaker for the next 6 months. I think it would be awesome. It's not going to last that long. They're going to wrap this up soon because they have to. The donors are chomping it. They're freaking out. But people see there's a few things that benefit out of this. Okay, we smoke out all these fake Republican rhinos the longer this goes on. Right. That's one positive. The fake MAGA people like Ron DeSantis. I know he's not in Congress, but you know what I mean by that. Smoke out the fake MAGA and the rhinos. That's one reason. And also people see how little you need the Congress. Congress really should be in session 1 month a year, and that's it. And that's it. They come together 1 month. They do what they got to do. They leave. They don't need to be up there all the time. All they're doing is stealing our money and giving it away. Biden today in Israel is giving relief money to the Palestinians in Gaza. Well, why is he giving them relief money? They're murdering and raping Jews in Israel, and he's giving them relief money? That's crazy.
Because there's no accountability for this.
Well, because he gets a commission from it.
Right, but there's no accountability for this. I mean, this has been going on. Look at Vietnam. Look at the Iraq War. These were all wars that didn't need to happen. They were all about making money. And people protested, people did this, and it didn't do really much.
Here's the thing. All these fake wars, if you've got a kid that's thinking of joining the service, try to talk them out of it. What are they going to do? They're going to join the service and go off to one of these war zones so that the donors can make money, so that these congressmen can pay back their donors and get commissions and have their family members on the boards of directors with fake jobs and stock options and all this stuff. It's really a sad. I saw this. This is a terrible thing to say, but I'm going to say it. I saw this veteran. Kathy and I were watching someone we know live stream on YouTube the other night, and they ran into this guy, and he's a veteran, and they did the whole normal thing. Thank you for your service, and the guy says, "Oh, you're welcome," and we serve, so you don't have to, defending your freedoms and all this stuff. And I respect our veterans. Please don't misunderstand me. I don't mean disrespect towards the veterans, but our veterans are the people in the military really defending our freedoms, or are they just making congressmen rich and enriching the military-industrial complex? When is the last time there was a military action by the United States that was defending our freedoms and wasn't really just enriching the military-industrial complex? Now, I want to talk about something with the AM signal that I've been on in the morning for many, many years. And I know this may have been a little surprise to some of you guys today, but I've known about this for months. The company that owns all the radio stations that I broadcast on bought, we've been on 5 FM radio stations and 1 AM in the morning, okay? 5 FMs and 1 AM. And the company that owns our radio station bought a new FM station in Miami that covers all of Miami down through the Florida Keys. That's pretty amazing. It's a massive signal in a major market. So, but what they did is they sold the AM station. And the thing about AM radio, and I know this, and now it's a Spanish language station, and I don't speak or understand Spanish. I did turn it on, and I could tell that they were talking about soccer in Spanish because I heard a name in football. Because they have that new
player in Miami.
Yeah.
The big guy. I can't remember. The David Beckham's team.
Yeah. So So anyway, our company picked up a new FM station that is a massive station that covers Miami and the Florida Keys, which is the major metropolitan area of Florida and Miami. Because we've not been in Miami, we've been on the air on our 5 FMs and our AM. We've been on the air through the Fort Lauderdale area in Broward County, north through the Treasure Coast and Fort Pierce, which is a very large reach. But this FM takes us down through Miami. So they sold the AM, and
it's amazing. You're like across 5 counties now.
Yeah, on FM stations.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the AM station, I knew that the station was sold about 6 months ago. It's a process, okay? I just didn't talk about it on the air because when there's a business, they didn't tell me not to talk about it, but when there's a business transaction of that level going on, it's best for me not to talk about it. You know what I mean? So I didn't talk about it, but I knew about 6 months ago that the AM station was getting sold. And the couple things about AM radio, because I've been hearing from a lot of people today, that's why I want you guys to know. The AM station is a 50,000 watt station that we've been on, AM 1470. And Steve and I have been on that station since 1998, on that AM station, since 1998, 25 years. It's a 50,000 watt station. However, the company that bought our radio stations about a year and a half ago has had that AM radio station powered down to about 2,500 watts for the last year, from 50,000 down to 2,500 watts, which means it was broadcasting like across the street from the transmitter tower. So a lot of you that listen on the AM, I've heard from some of you like, oh, I'm having trouble getting you on the AM, and you've been going. The reason they didn't confide in me on this, but it makes the reason they powered down the AM is they were driving the audience to our FMs because they knew they were going to sell it. Okay, I knew a year ago they were going to sell our AM station, and I knew 6 months ago that they sold it, and today was the first day that it switched over to Spanish. So since it's been down to 2,500 watts instead of the normal 50,000, we've really been off that station for a year. It's only been broadcasting in a small area. And one last thing on AM radio. Teslas don't have AM radios in them. And a lot of new cars are being built now without AM radios in them. And
does my Mini Cooper, because mine's a couple years old, does that have an AM?
Your Mini Cooper has an AM radio.
Okay.
But a lot of new cars don't have AM radios in them. And the big car manufacturers in Detroit are talking about not having AM radios in upcoming cars. And I'll talk about that in a second because there's a significance to it. So what's happening is companies that own AM radio stations are selling them while they're still worth something, because if other major vehicle manufacturers like Tesla, like if Chevrolet stops putting AM radios in their cars, AM radio station values are going to plummet. So a lot of people around I read the trade magazines, okay? A lot of AM radio stations are being sold and changing hands because people know that in a few years they're not going to be able to hear them in cars. And once you can hear them in cars, that's going to be it for AM radio. And Sean Hannity and Mark Levin have been in a panic about this for the past about 5 years, okay, this move to take AM radios out of cars, because Hannity and Mark Levin and Glenn Beck, who's also panicked about this, they're syndicated on hundreds of radio stations, but most of them are AM radio. And I believe that the Democrats, who have a lot of pull over the automotive industry, the Democrats are getting the auto manufacturers to not put AM radios in their new vehicles so that they can bypass conservative talk radio. They've been trying to combat conservative talk radio for decades, the Democrats, and they haven't been able to do it. They've come up with alternative liberal radio networks. They've tried to regulate. They have organizations that monitor people to try to catch them and say things so they can get them taken off the air. And then somebody who's a pretty smart person in the Democrat Party said, you know what? We've got so much pull over the auto manufacturers. Why don't we start, because we control the unions, why don't we start getting them to make cars without AM radios? Then all these right-wing AM radio guys, nobody will be able to hear them. So that's what's going on here. It's a big political thing. I've known about this for years. I haven't talked about it because I've been on AM radio as well as FM.
Very clever.
So it's not the kind of thing that I should really be talking about on AM radio. but we're now on six FM stations in the morning. 6 FM stations in the mornings. And we were on 5 FMs and 1 AM. Now we're on 6 FMs. And when I first started in radio, I started on FM. I wasn't on the air, but I worked at like music stations, music FM stations. And then I had an opportunity to go to an AM talk station, and everyone thought I was nuts. All my friends, because they're like, "What are you talking about? Are you going to go on AM?" It used to be like, it was like Titanic. FM was Billy Zane and Rose, and AM was like, Jack Dawson, And so anyway, now I'm on 6 FM radio stations and not on AM. So that I think it was, even though we're not on the AM station, I want to be on every radio station, okay? So I don't want to not be on any, but it's not a big loss because they were powered down to low power, like I said, 2,500 watts instead of 50,000 for the last year. And we picked up a major FM station that covers all of Miami and the Florida Keys, which is huge. And if you listen to me on the radio in the morning, you'll hear at the top of the hour the Legal ID. I think the first station in the Legal ID is the new station in Miami. Okay. You'll hear it'll give you out the I can't remember the dial position offhand. So anyway, that's what happened with that, guys. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Get ready for a ride full of excitement and wonder with the book from author Myrna Kay, Baby is a Sports Car. Baby is a Sports Car is a children's book that will take readers on a journey through the daily escapades of Baby, the sports car, with easy-to-read phrases that rhyme and vibrant illustrations that come to life. Baby is a Sports Car promises a joyous reading experience that children will treasure for years to come. Join Baby as she navigates the twists and turns of her adventures and discovers the magic of storytelling. Whether it's story time before bed or a fun afternoon read, Baby is a Sports Car is the perfect companion for young readers. It's also perfect for teachers for classroom reading. Order your copy right now on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and Lulu.com. Baby is a Sports Car from author Myrna Kay. And let the journey of imagination and joy for children begin. Baby is a Sports Car from author Myrna Kay. From author Saj Mahaligam comes a heart-pounding journey into the world of crime and redemption in the book Kitchen Fork, an intriguing crime thriller available right now on Amazon. Meet Jin, a man willing to risk it all to rescue his family from the most guarded detention camps in North Korea. But when the moment of opportunity finally arrives, the price is higher than he ever imagined. The night of escape leaves the family divided, with their lives changed forever. Their 11 and 8-year-old must survive alone in the dark woods, waiting for a mother and sister who never appear. The two boys are captured and sent to an orphanage. Their destinies take an unexpected turn. Then there's Jin's wife and their youngest child who face a difficult decision, one that will haunt them for years. The sons find themselves in the United States, where they form the most feared gang in Chicago. Initially formed to combat bullies, this gang takes a dark turn into drug trafficking and other criminal activities. Kitchen Fork is about family, crime, and redemption. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Kitchen Fork, an intriguing crime thriller from author Saj Mahaligam, available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions. Attention educators and homeschooling families. Are you in search of top educational tools as well as resources at prices you can afford? Look no further than ReadNovelStudies.com. Read Novel Studies offer a wide range of original novels, including their latest, The Locomotive. In The Locomotive, readers will meet Ed and Charlie Whittle, two brothers seeking to escape a troubled home life. Their adventure begins when they stumble upon an abandoned locomotive being restored by the mysterious Jim Smith. Promised excitement and intrigue, they embark on a cross-country journey, even starting a new business along the way. But hold on, the plot thickens. When Sully and Lamont join their crew, the once promising venture takes a dark turn. As secrets are revealed, fear and danger intensifies. Stranded on the train, Eddie and Charlie must rely on their wits to survive. Join them on this adventure that's filled with secret alliances, hidden communications, and the ever-present threat of betrayal. But that's not all. Read Novel Studies also offers educational resources, including coloring books. Their resources exceed the standard requirements taught in numerous English-speaking countries, including the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, and more. Don't miss out on this educational journey with Read Novel Studies, online at readnovelstudies.com. That's REED, readnovelstudies.com. Visit the site right now and unlock a world of engaging and informative educational resources. readnovelstudies.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I just want to tell you guys, before the podcast, and this is how Kathy and we got this routine that we do. Each day, right before we podcast, we pack up the Mighty MAGA Lions from all of you that have ordered them that particular day, like today. And then we do the show, and then after the show, we send out another shipment. And the Mighty MAGA Lions are hot. I mean, I am so excited. This is the first time we've done something like this. And, the Mighty MAGA Lions, which are available at mightymagalion.com, these are not some kind of drop shipping thing, okay? Kathy and I, we partnered up with Dee, who's one of our YouTube moderators, and Kathy and I worked with Dee. We designed the Mighty MAGA Lions, had them made, and all made in advance. That's why we say they're limited edition. And we had them delivered to our house. And Kathy and I pack them up and ship them out every day when the orders as they are coming in. So they are not a drop ship thing. They are limited edition. They're unique, and they're available exclusively through us at mightymagalion.com. And this is something that you picked up on, Kathy, that I did not realize. The Mighty MAGA Lion is the only Trump, I don't know, what would you call it, Kathy? I know it's a stuffed animal, but the only Trump merchandise that's similar to this where they're wearing the MAGA hat.
And it's the only one that's not a bear. It's a lion. It's the only lion I've seen. A lot of people compare Trump to a lion. Brian chose that animal. It's got blonde, like a blonde mane.
Yep, the lion
like
was
Trump's
my idea.
hair.
Yes.
And it's the only one I've seen with a MAGA hat with the 45 on the side. So I think it's really cool.
It is pretty good.
And special.
It's pretty good. So go to
you guys will love it, really.
Absolutely. Go to mightymagalion.com and order yours. They make a great gift for yourself or for Christmas. Okay, so there's an article here that I'm...
or Hanukkah.
That's true. That I'm reading in the National Pulse. And it says, poll data reveals RFK's run will give Biden the victory over Trump. This story is circulating all over the place. This is complete nonsense, okay? This is complete nonsense. And let me go through this article. An NPR, PBS NewsHour, Marist National poll shows NPR and PBS are as liberal gets, okay? National Public Radio and PBS. First of all, why are they commissioning polls? They are sucking off the government for their existence, and they have money to do polls with. Seems like we're giving them too much money. So this is a liberal poll commissioned by liberals trying to sabotage President Trump. An NPR, PBS NewsHour, Marist National poll shows third-party candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. helping secure an easy victory for President Joe Biden over Donald Trump in 2024. Since Kennedy announced his departure from the Democrat race to run as an independent, speculation has emerged about who he would impact more, Trump or Biden. The poll suggests, this liberal hack poll, that if Kennedy is factored in, Biden would emerge the winner with a 7-point lead over Trump. Okay, now I'm not going to go through this whole very long article, but here is the deal, okay? Kennedy's a Democrat. Trump's support is strong. And not only is his support strong, we're not going to be voting for Democrats, okay? There's no way he may chip away some Republicans. I'm not going to say that no Republicans are going to vote for Robert Kennedy Jr. I think some will, okay? but most of the people that are going to vote for Robert Kennedy are going to be Democrats. There are a lot of Democrats who are very upset at how radical and nutty that the Democrat Party has become. And they would welcome Robert Kennedy to come back into the fold in the Democrat Party in a leadership position to try to stop all these wackadoodle anti-Semites and all this weirdness that's been going on inside the Democrat Party and get their party brought back to the planet Earth instead of being on Pluto or Neptune or something. It's so far out of space, in outer space. The only Republicans that are going to vote for Robert Kennedy Jr., he may get some people over the Fauci stuff. You know, he hates Fauci. He wrote a book about Fauci. And there are some Republicans that issue might get them to vote for Robert Kennedy, but not that many. He's going to take Democrat votes away from Biden more by far than he'll take Republicans away from Trump. And plus the MAGA voting base, which is the majority of the Republican voting base, there's nothing that would stop us from supporting Trump. And the fact that this poll was done by National Public Radio and Public Television tells you everything you need to know. It's a liberal hack poll that has people panicked. So Biden went to Israel today, and I'm not going to play the sound bites because I don't want to hear his voice, but just read a couple of these headlines about it. So he's sitting down next to Netanyahu. Now, keep in mind, Israel's under attack. Okay, there's not only is Israel under attack, and incredible violence is taking place all over the world. The U.S. Embassy in Beirut was attacked after that hospital incident in Gaza yesterday, and things are getting pretty hot. And I heard Biden, when he got to Israel, did you hear any of this, Kathy?
Mm-mm.
He was so tired, he couldn't speak. Here's the first headline. Joe Biden, so weak, he was reading softly from note cards during his meeting with Netanyahu, and you could hardly hear him. Then he is on stage. He's got all his people around. He's on television. You could tell all of a sudden he got confused, like, where am I and why am I here? Yeah. What am I doing here? And he started shouting at someone to get their attention that was far away. And then in this meeting, when he's reading from the note cards, he got very confused, stopped reading from the note cards, and started mumbling. And he talked about how he worked in the Senate with Blinken. And of course, you know, Blinken is the Secretary of State. He talked about how he worked in the Senate with Tony Blinken. Tony Blinken was never in the Senate. And he was talking about how he worked with him in the Senate during this press conference with the note cards with Netanyahu. And what's going on with Joe Biden here is he's making things worse because he went over. I don't even understand exactly why he went to Israel. He went there and came straight home. And what he did by going over there, showing how weak he is, he's caused more instability because people around the world see how checked out the president of the United States, when there's a war zone like this and there's a war breaking out, the president of the United States goes over there to show American strength, that America is here. We're not going to let this crap happen. We're going to put a stop to this. And if you go against our ally, you're going to get wiped out. Biden went over there. He gets off Air Force One on those baby steps from the luggage rack again because he can't walk up or down the main steps. Now, that's a big deal. The Air Force One is a much bigger plane than it needs to be. It's that old style, like old 747 kind of looking thing. It's a 757, I think. But they have those stairs up at the top. And the reason that is so that when the president of the United States pulls up an Air Force One, it's a big plane. It's impressive. It overwhelms you. And he comes down those huge steps to impress people. And Biden is coming out of the luggage rack. And both ways, it's weak. And then he comes out and he's checked out. He doesn't know where he is. He's lost. He's yelling at people. He's confused. He's losing his train of thought. He doesn't know who's who. And that lets the terrorists know, because that's who is attacking Israel, terrorist, that the United States can't do anything. Look, their president can't command anything. He doesn't know what he did. I think when he was on that stage, I think he did not know he was in Israel.
Probably.
Because, when he's here at home, I would imagine sometimes he thinks that when he's at the White House, I bet you sometimes he thinks Obama's the president.
Well, what are they going to do? They're talking about this. His wife has got to be the problem. She's not going to give this up. But I don't understand how anybody could vote for this guy again. It's crazy. And they really need to have him removed with that
25th
Amendment thing. And maybe they are planning on doing that the last minute if he doesn't drop out. Maybe they're threatening him with that and saying, we're going to do it. Because there is no way they can run this guy. I saw somebody on Twitter today who said, I voted for Biden. I don't know what I was thinking. This guy is clearly out of it.
Yeah.
And he's a disaster. And what are we going to do? I mean, a moment of honesty. But then you see all these liberals praising him for his leadership. They're totally deluded.
Yeah.
They're totally deluded because they're denying what they're seeing with their own eyes. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy. And he made things so much worse today. And remember, everything that's happening that's bad in the world is a direct result of Joe Biden. Joe Biden's actions have caused all of
we predicted this. We knew this was going to happen as soon as he got in. We knew that all these wars and all these things, these leaders are going to take advantage because they know he's corrupt and he's not going to do anything to stop it.
No. Now, I just saw here earlier today, the Israelis released an audio recording today of what they say are two terrorists admitting responsibility in the hospital bombing in Gaza. The clip posted on X. I think we're all calling Twitter X. I think Elon successfully has gotten us to call Twitter X. And
in fact, I was watching the local news, and they, how they put the person's Twitter handle. They had the X logo there now.
Well, so I don't know that this is a fact, but someone told me that if you use Twitter and you say tweet or say Twitter instead of X, that Twitter suppresses the tweet, that you got to use X. But anyway, the clip posted on X is captioned, Islamic Jihad struck a hospital in Gaza. The Israeli Defense Forces did not listen to the terrorists as they realize this themselves. Okay. So, when this was insane. This tragedy at the hospital, which, by the way, it looks like it was a parking lot, not the hospital that got hit. Not that I don't want any civilians to get hurt, of course. But it was now it looks like it was purposefully targeted by the terrorist in Gaza. When you see that a hospital is hit and they start blaming Israel, right away Israel did not do that. What gain would there be in Israel for attacking a hospital and killing civilians? There's all this anti-Semitism, anti-Israelism going on around the world already. Why would they target innocent civilians in a hospital and turn people to legitimize all this anti-Israeli sentiment against it? They wouldn't do it. It doesn't make sense.
No sense at all.
It makes no sense. So as soon as you hear it happen, either, and I said there were several choices, and one of them was they did it themselves, the terrorists, and it looks like they did. But it was either that option, the Israelis shot down a terrorist rocket and it came down there, or was the original belief was by Israel is that the rocket that the terrorists launched misfired, malfunctioned, and hit the hospital. Now it looks like they targeted the hospital. These are terrible people. They targeted civilians when they went into Israel, and now they're targeting their own civilians. These are just terrible people. And for Biden to give relief funds to the Palestinians when all this is going on is nonsense. And I'm so tired of hearing these pundits on TV say, well, half of the Palestinians don't support Hamas. Well, half the Americans don't support the Democrats, at least half the Americans. Yeah. So what does that mean? Right?
And where did they come up with that number?
They just made it up. What did they
exactly.
do? Exactly.
Yeah.
They just made that up.
What, did they take a poll over there?
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
How do they know that half of
they don't. They pulled it out of their ass.
They just made that up.
Exactly.
To give legitimacy to attacking Israel for fighting back.
I'm sure there's people that live there that do not support Hamas, but we don't know. You can't get an honest assessment of that. They can't all be supporting it. There's got to be some, but And I feel bad, but Israel did give them at least a week to evacuate that area.
They still haven't gone in really on the ground.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they just keep making threats.
Maybe they're trying to get the hostages back, the ones that may be left alive.
They need to do that. That should be a priority.
And,
maybe they're afraid that if they start attacking, then Iran's going to get involved. That's what I'm concerned about, that it's going to give them an excuse.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like Pearl Harbor, these things happen as a way to bring a country into a war.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if that was Japan's motive, but I'm sure, when you attack a country, you're going to assume, well, they're going to retaliate and they're going to bring us into this war. So, maybe that's why they did it to get Israel involved and be the catalyst for that.
I don't know. I don't know, but I do know this. We should not be giving any aid to any of these Middle Eastern countries except Israel. Because they were the ones that were attacked. They are our ally. They are the only democracy in the Middle East. We should not be giving money. All these countries around Israel have been condemning Israel, and we're supporting all of them. Saudi Arabia, the royal family of Saudi Arabia historically is not popular. And they stay in power because we protect them with our military support of Saudi Arabia. And here they are attacking Israel and not backing our ally over there, and the $6 billion to Iran, which of course, if they haven't given it to them already, they're going to give it to them because the Biden White House has been very cagey. Anytime anybody asks them about the Iranian $6 billion, has it gone there yet? They don't answer, which means either it's already gone, a big chunk of it's gone, or they don't care. They're just going to send it anyway. We shouldn't be giving any money to any of these people, including.
No, we shouldn't be getting involved. It only escalates. But ever since World War II, they've been able to successfully get involved in all these wars because they got, we had to get involved in that one. Obviously, Hitler was taking over Europe and killing Jewish people by the millions and other people. So we had to do that. But ever since then, America has gotten involved for whatever reason, obviously money. And all these other wars has created conflicts, created problems, because like you said, of the military-industrial complex, and it's a big money-making machine. You had Hannity the other day promoting it and defending it to somebody.
Yeah.
I can't understand why he would do that other than to benefit himself monetarily. These people at Fox News have huge homes. I mean, when you told me Brett Baer bought a home for $37 million, I couldn't believe it.
Here in Florida.
That's a lot to maintain.
Yep.
They don't pay cash for that. I don't think he's got $37 million cash.
You never know, Kathy.
I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm assuming they have a very high mortgage. You're talking a payment of $20,000, $30,000 a month, at least. They have to maintain that. Plus, a house like that requires, taxes, insurance. In Florida, insurance is not cheap. Ours just went up. Maintenance. You got a landscaper. They probably have a whole staff that works for them. These people in the media live as well as George Clooney. I mean, they are very wealthy people. They live like Hollywood celebrities, like Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Aniston. I mean, they're making $50 million a year, whatever. Mm-hmm. And when you make that kind of money, you sell your soul. I mean, you're going to say anything to maintain that and live that life and hang out in the Hamptons and have 3 or 4 homes and a beach house. You really going to walk away from that? When you're in that world in the country clubs and you're hanging out with the top brass of the world. And that's a very seductive thing. And once you're in, very, very few people like Carrie Lake will walk away from that. She walked away. She wasn't at the level of Fox, but she was making good money. She was at a top station, probably making
a lot of money,
a high 6-figure salary, maybe $500,000 a year, living a very decent life. And, she was very good in a high position and maybe on the track to go national. Mm-hmm. And she walked away from all that. Not many people do.
No.
Not many
they
people.
Don't.
You got to give her credit for that.
They don't. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. And those of you that are Patreon supporters, there's a lot of exclusive content that Kathy and I put on the Patreon page. You have to go to the Patreon page to see it. We post things up there all the time, on top of getting commercial-free editions of all the podcast episodes. But Kathy and I are always posting exclusive content behind the scenes. Yeah, behind the scenes things. Sometimes I'll make exclusive videos. Kathy will make videos. There's all kinds of exclusive things that we put on the Patreon page that only Patreon supporters have access to. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you're also supporting the show when you become a patron.
Yes.
There's a link in the description to our Patreon page if you want to become a member. And also, you can go directly to the website. It's patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, ActicFox, Heather, David, Richard, Melissa, and Maria in Texas. These are our top Patreon supporters.
And I want to say the Patreons really help keep the show going.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because Brian and I don't get a salary from anybody. Nobody pays us to do this. We do this because we enjoy doing it. And it's a really great way if you're able. Another great way is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Obviously, that's important and that's free. But if you're able, for just $1, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. You can patronize the show. And it does help us. It helps the show. Equipment we have to buy. We upgrade equipment all the time and things like that, and just to keep the show going. And it's really, really means a lot to us. We really do appreciate it. And we post a lot of pictures on there from our personal life. I post pictures of Emily sometimes doing things, and our cat, Luna, little updates on her. We did a video last night for our patrons. So it's just a more personal way to stay in touch with us. You can message us through there and contact us anytime. We write you right back. So if you want to have a more personal relationship in that regard and get to know us a little bit better, that's a good way to do it.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back with our final segment after this.
The new book from author and poet Kimberly Hockaday, The Haunted Typewriter, is now available. The Haunted Typewriter is a collection of dark and creepy poems that will send shivers down your spine as you explore the mysterious and unsettling tales inside. It's a tribute to the great Edgar Allan Poe. Throughout the book, keen readers will discover subtle references to Poe's work that add an extra layer of intrigue. The Haunted Typewriter is available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. If you call your local Barnes & Noble store, they'll be happy to order a copy for you. Kimberly Hockaday's work has graced the pages of newspapers and literary magazines. Each poem in The Haunted Typewriter is a portal to the unknown. Journey into the macabre and order your copy today. The Haunted Typewriter from author Kimberly Hockaday is available now on Amazon or by request at your local Barnes & Noble. Are you ready to embark on a journey to holistic health and empowerment? Look no further than Dr. Poonja Gidwani, MD, in Los Angeles. Dr. Gidwani is not just your trusted primary care physician, she's your partner in wellness. She has a passion for personalized care and is board certified in both internal and obesity medicine. With a clinic in Beverly Hills, Dr. Gidwani offers concierge medicine services and house calls throughout the greater Los Angeles area, bringing the best care to your doorstep. Same-day virtual appointments are available throughout the state of California. She's also a specialist in skin rejuvenation, offering mobile services like microneedling and chemical peels, weight loss management, primary care services, and more. Visit her website, PoojagidwaniMD.com. That's PoojagidWaniMD. Follow her on Instagram at dr.poonja.gidwani for information on how you can optimize your potential for total wellness. Dr. Poonja Gidwani MD, your path to a healthier, happier you. PoojagidwaniMD.com. Are you ready to transform your living space with a touch of modern elegance and quality craftsmanship? Look no further than AlphaFurnishings.com. AlphaFurnishings.com is your go-to destination for premium metal and acrylic furniture legs that are truly exceptional. They have a wide range of sizes and a spectrum of vibrant colors so that you'll find the perfect match for your furniture. They provide excellent customer service too and can even customize items for you. Their exclusive features make each furniture leg a masterpiece just waiting to enhance your home decor. Whether you want to have a contemporary makeover of your sofa or a cabinet that's in need of chic transformation, AlphaFurnishings.com has you covered. Their goal is to make a difference in furniture design. They create innovative products that can save and modernize your furniture. They've gone from a small apartment to 2 warehouses, and they have a simple message: small spending, large return, and an instant facelift. Elevate your home with AlphaFurnishings.com. You can also find them on Etsy. Just search for Alpha Modern Furnishing. Go right now to AlphaFurnishings.com. Don't wait. Some items have limited supplies and will be running out soon. You deserve a modern and exquisite living room makeover and transformation. Go right now to AlphaFurnishings.com. That's AlphaFurnishings.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. You just sent me this article, Kathy. I've not read this article yet, but it's about a police-involved shooting. A woman was shot dead, and it's pretty bad. And the story has when there's a racial component to police-involved shootings, they're all over the news. Like, white cop, black person. This is a white woman, blonde, and I just read through this. The fiance of a mother of 3 who was shot nearly 20 times by Tennessee officers have slammed the department for not charging the cops who killed her. Melissa Horton, age 43, this is the white blonde-haired lady, was driving her white SUV on March 20th in Bartlett, Tennessee, when she was waved down by cops. She complied, but then appeared to try to take off again. She must have been drunk or something.
Her fiance called the police on a domestic dispute. I guess they got in a big fight, and then she took off. And then she tried to leave, and then she started to pull a gun on the cop. Yeah. She had a shotgun in her car.
Oh, my goodness. It says here, when she was eventually boxed in by police, deputies approached her vehicle, shouted, and shot her multiple times. She sadly died at the scene. Body cam footage from multiple angles shows how the officers fired a barrage of bullets that hit the mother through the driver's seat window.
They shot her 20 times, which seems a bit. I mean, if you're a good shot, you don't need to shoot 20 times. I mean, I think that seems a bit. I understand she pulled a gun, and when you pull a gun on a cop, you're probably going to get shot at. But 20 times seems excessive.
The video shows that she lifted a shotgun and pointed it towards one of the deputies.
What an idiot!
And that was when they did it. Well, he
obviously can't do that.
They're screaming and everything else.
Unless she did it on purpose and wanted to die by suicide. I mean, maybe she was just in a weird place.
She had to be drunk or high or something. I mean, because she was not acting normal.
Or just very enraged and irrational.
This is the thing about these police-involved shootings, okay? And like I said,
is Black Lives Matter going to protest this?
Yeah, if there's a racial component, Benjamin Crump comes to town, and then it's all the news is all over it.
Yeah, if this woman was black, they rioting in the streets tonight and demanding money.
Yeah,
and all this
so
stuff.
This story it's in the Daily Mail, but it's going to fade away. This is the thing about it, okay? Police officers are government workers. Anyone who works for the government generally is not the best, okay? They're incompetent. So there's a lot of incompetency among the police. Just because we support the police, but just because someone's a cop doesn't mean that they're great guys or highly intelligent. And one of the problems with police officers, and let me tell you, I've gotten some nasty police officers for me talking this way. In fact, one called Steve Kane recently griping about me because of the stuff I say about this. I couldn't believe, retired police officer.
Better be careful.
I know. I couldn't believe when Steve told me this. This was like 2 weeks ago. I've mentioned this many times on the show. My grandfather was a police officer for 35 years. He was a World War II veteran. It used to be most police officers were veterans. Many of them combat veterans, because of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, but were veterans, and they have military training. Now, most of the police officers I know have never been in the military. They might have gone to community college.
That's where they get their training.
They get hired by
6 months.
Yeah, they get hired by a police department. They go to an academy, and they don't have. I think
it's a lack of training in certain skills.
My opinion is that recruitment should come from veterans, have military service, because they learn discipline. They learn how to be cool under fire. And what happens a lot of times, these police officers, when they get in these shootings, they panic. And the thing about the 20 times, which is obviously excessive.
Very excessive.
When my grandfather was a police officer, they had revolvers, okay? They didn't have semi-automatics like they have now. They're all armed with semi-autos, Glocks, and things like this. And
she had 3 kids. It's just awful.
These guns fire off. Like, I have a Glock, and I love my Glock. The Glock 48 I got for my birthday before last. I got myself a Glock 48. And I have revolvers too. But they fire off a lot of rounds. And I used to think maybe they should go back to revolvers. And then multiple people, including Chuck, who's one of our Patreon supporters, and he's a longtime listener to the program, he says if they have revolvers, they're too outgunned by a lot of the criminals out there.
I agree.
So they got to have the semi-autos, so they have
it's equally matched.
They're as close to being equally matched with criminals, because with revolvers they just wouldn't be. So when they get involved in incidents like this, the guns fire rounds off too fast, and the cops panic. It was like those shootings years ago where they shot that one guy in New York in the vestibule like over 100 times. Remember that one? And those cops were acquitted, and they shot him over 100 times.
She pulled a gun, so they're not going to get in trouble. She pulled a gun on a cop, and you're going to get shot if that happens. So their reaction was the appropriate one. I mean, they want to go home to their kids.
Yeah.
And she's responsible for her behavior.
Absolutely.
But I just think 20 rounds, 20 shots is a bit excessive. But, they, like you said, they panic. And if they have guns that shoot off a lot of rounds quickly, if that's their gun, that's their gun. I mean, that's the way it's going to be.
Well, they're scared. There was
well, sure. I mean, if somebody pulls a shotgun on you, I mean, they got kids, they want to go home.
Oh, a shotgun.
I just wish there were other ways to handle these situations. But obviously, if you got somebody with a gun, it's what else can you do? I mean,
Well, what I'm interested in, and I read through the rest of the story, which I'm not going to bore you guys with. There's a lot of information missing. Okay, obviously she had a shotgun. That's you hit someone with a shotgun. That's it. I mean, there's that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I know they're gone.
But why did they chase her? And to box her in.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't.
They know she had a gun at that point.
Right,
I don't know.
I don't like these police chases. I think they escalate things unnecessarily. Instead, it's best to, and what happens is the person panics,
the cop
and the person being chased, and then they get desperate. And I think sometimes there's other ways you can handle that, but. They boxed her in and she felt trapped and
she had to be drunk or high.
Maybe or maybe not. I don't know, but it's an unfortunate situation.
That's crazy.
And all these things are unfortunate. And I'm sure a lot of these cops feel bad about having to do that. I mean, when you're a cop, that's the way it is.
Well, there was an incident here in our neck of the woods a few years ago. There was a guy. He broke down on the side of the road at 4 a.m. He's out of his car, changing his tire.
Yeah.
And he had a concealed weapons permit. Cop pulled up, and then he got shot, and he was killed. And in Florida now, we have concealed carry without a permit. And I got a new holster. I still have not carried my gun out of the house, not once. And it's stories like this.
You got to worry because if you get pulled over or something, and they see a gun in your car, you could get killed.
Yeah, I know. It makes me nervous. I'm more afraid of the police than I am and I'll tell you, I don't subscribe to this universal idea that the policemen are necessarily your friend. I see the police doing a lot of bad things. The police were the ones beating the parents up at that school board meeting in Virginia.
Exactly.
Okay. We saw how the police behaved during the shutdowns and lockdowns. Okay. So that whole year
it seems like things have changed a little bit and in that regard. Yeah. Like, I don't want to get into it, but it just seems like
it has
somehow have changed a little bit with our freedom and our rights. But this woman did the wrong thing. It's unfortunate. She
pulled a shotgun on cops.
Pulled a shotgun on the police. She has 3 children. Her fiance doesn't seem to feel too bad about it because he's the one who escalated this whole thing and called the cops on her in the first place. But maybe she pulled a gun on him. I mean, that's crazy. But you pull a gun on the cops and, that's you're asking for it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if she did it on purpose, though. There are people that do
suicide by cop.
There are people that do it. She could have been in a very depressed, desperate state, and when you're like that, you're not thinking clearly, and so it's just very sad.
Yeah, it is.
But I think the problem is, it's interrupts the narrative that cops only kill black people, and they kill white people all the time. You just don't hear about it in the news.
Doesn't make the news. That's right.
It's but they do all the time. These things happen, but there will be no protests. You're not going to see white people walking the streets and demanding.
Well,
this,
no,
demanding
she pulled
that.
a gun on cops.
They just exactly.
She's going to get shot.
You have other people that are when a black person gets killed. Even if they pull a gun or a weapon on a cop, the people still go in the streets and loot and riot. It's crazy.
But I would say with these officers, though, because 20 rounds, that means she was hit by rounds from more than one gun.
Yeah, at least two. I would think.
The cops are scared, and they panic in these situations.
Plus, what you said is if they have automatic weapons.
Well, they're not automatic; they're semi-automatic.
So semi-automatic. But still, if you're nervous and you're pushing on that trigger, you're going to shoot off a lot of rounds.
See, with the revolver, it's harder to pull the trigger. With the semi-auto, you got to pull it for each shot, but it pulls faster and quicker. You can empty out.
It's like a hairline trigger.
Yeah.
It's much quicker.
Yeah. So but she pulled a gun on cops, so
exactly.
You're going to get shot if you pull a gun on cops.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, she put herself in that situation.
But 20 times, that means the cops panicked.
Well, it's a combination of panicking and they're probably the weapons they were using.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments about that. And,
I think to me the bigger point is the reaction that you will not see from this. That if this was a black woman, even if if everything was the same but the woman was black, you would see outrage, rioting, looting.
Well, because there's money to be made off of it.
And all this.
Well,
people. Exactly. It's all about Black Lives Matter. It's all about money.
And Crump.
And the cops would be arrested.
Civil lawsuits.
They'd have to go to court, like Kim Reynolds or whatever her name was. They'd be arrested. They'd go on trial. All this stuff would be happening. But because she's white, none of that's going to happen. They might have an investigation, but these cops will be cleared.
Yeah.
And that'll be the end of it because these things happen, unfortunately, all the time to people from all walks of life.
Absolutely. Well, listen, everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.